Long before adulthood taught them the harshness of life, Nene and Ebuka were the darlings of their school. Everyone knew them, the inseparable pair who studied together, laughed at each other's jokes and promised the world in handwritten notes passed through window slats and hidden textbooks. Their love wasn't loud, but it was solid, like the roots of a giant Iroko tree. And when they graduated, nothing could come between them. Not distance, not gossip, not even poverty. When Ebuka got his first job as a civil servant, he didn't waste time. He married Nene in a modest but joy-filled wedding. There were no rented horses or expensive ashwebi, but the way he looked at her as she walked towards him in her cream-colored lace gown brought tears to everyone's eyes. The community admired them. "Na so love supposed be," the elder said, nodding in approval. But years passed, and the crib stayed empty. The first year, they laughed off the whispers. The second year, the prayer request increased. By the fifth year, Nene could barely show her face in church. Women who once hugged her tightly now greeted her with beautiful smiles. Some said it to her face. "You sure say you never offended anybody? 10 years and nothing?" She cried many nights, but Ebuka, her rock, never wavered. "If God gives us, we will thank Him. If He doesn't, we will still thank Him. I married you, not your womb." Those words held her up for a time. They tried everything: fertility doctors, fasting for 21 days, even a controversial prayer house where the prophet bathed her with river water at midnight. Still nothing. Then in their 13th year of marriage, the miracle came. It was a Thursday morning when Nene threw up after tasting pepper soup. At first, she blamed her sensitive stomach. But when it happened again and again, she bought a test kit from Mama Jumoke's chemist. The 2 pink lines shook in her trembling hand. "Jesus, Jesus, Ebuka!" That night, Ebuka wept, not from doubt. He believed her completely, but he wept from pure joy, overwhelming joy. Months later, a baby girl was born. They named her Chimamanda. My God will not fail. She was the light of their lives. Ebuka became a doting father, carrying her around like a prince, holding a golden staff. Nene beamed with pride wherever they went. But the joy didn't last long. At first, it was common baby fevers. Then it became frightening. Convulsions, rashes with no cause, constant crying, endless hospital visits. Some nights, Nene would hold Chimamanda in her arms and beg God not to let her die. Her body was fragile, her skin pale, and she barely played like other children. Nurses began to whisper. One day, a family member muttered, "You sure say this child not be spiritual problem?" Ebuka, once full of faith, began to change. Ebuka no longer smiled at Chimamanda. He barely touched her. If she sneezed, he flinched. If she cried, he stormed out. And then one night he didn't come home. Then it became 2 nights. Then a week. Nene waited. She called. He didn't pick. When he finally returned, he smelled of perfume and alcohol. His eyes were hard. He barely looked at his wife and child. "I'm tired," he said. "I need peace in my house. Ever since this girl came, nothing has worked." Nene's heart shattered. She clutched her child tighter, tears rolling down her face. "So now she's the problem?" "She's not normal, Nene. She's a curse." And with that, the man who once fought the world for her turned his back and walked out. Then a woman came with shadows. Her name was Nkiru. Tall, smooth-skinned and flashy, She walked into Ebuka's life like a wild wind, confident and seductive, with lips that told him what he wanted to hear. You deserve better. A real man needs peace of mind. That child is not ordinary. She didn't hide. Within weeks, Nkiru moved into the house Nene had once made a home. Photos of Nene and Chimamanda were removed. Curtains were changed. Prayers stopped. Gospel songs were replaced by loud music and expensive wine. But Chimamanda remained in the house, frail, quiet, and always sick. Ebuka didn't care anymore. He told Nene, "If you can't accept the changes, leave. I'm done pretending. In fact, go and rest in your father's house. Leave. I don't need you anymore." But Nene didn't cry. She stood still, her daughter in her arms. Then she whispered, "God is not finished." She left, barefoot, under the rain, her heart bleeding, her child burning with fever. Meanwhile, Nene was back in her father's house where she found no comfort. Her relatives blamed her. "Why didn't you protect your home? You should have gone to the elders instead of walking out." Only her aged mother believed her. Every night, the old woman knelt and cried to God, placing her hand on Chimamanda's head. "My God, this child is innocent. Don't let evil win." Then one night, a prophet came to the compound uninvited. He was an old man with cloudy eyes, a walking stick, and a deep trembling voice. He walked straight to Chimamanda and said, "This child has been caged. Someone close to your husband tied her destiny out of jealousy. Until that tie is broken, she will suffer and your marriage will die." Nene gasped. Her mother broke down. "Who did this?" she cried. "Who?" The old man looked at them and said, just one word: blood. Far away in their hometown, Ebuka's aunt, the same one who had opposed his marriage from the beginning, started to fall ill mysteriously. She confessed in a delirious state. "I told them not to marry that girl. She's not from a good family. I warned him, so I did what I had to do." The family was shocked. She spoke of a ritual, how she paid a native doctor to tie Nene's womb, and how the birth of Chimamanda broke the charm. But she wasn't done. That girl must not leave. Her star is brighter than even her father's. If she survives, she will rise, and they will forget me. At that moment, her body convulsed. She screamed, and just like that, the truth spilled out like boiling oil. Ebuka was called immediately. He heard everything, and his world collapsed. The woman he brought in, a tool in his aunt's hand. His child, not a cause, a victim. His wife, the only person who had truly loved him. He fell to his knees. "Oh God, what have I done?" Ebuka didn't wait for dawn. With guilt burning in his chest and tears clouding his eyes, he drove through the night like a madman. His hands trembled on the wheel, haunted by the face of his daughter, the child he had called a curse, the child he left with a woman who had no soul. Each time he blinked, he remembered her tiny fingers reaching out to him, the day she whispered "Daddy" through chapped lips, and how he turned away. "What kind of man am I?" he wept into the steering wheel. His car screeched to a halt in front of Nene's father's compound, just as the first light of morning broke. Children who had come out to fetch water stared in confusion. Dust rose as he stumbled out, shirt half-buttoned, eyes red, heart heavy. He didn't knock. He fell to his knees, weeping at the doorstep. "Nene, please, please forgive me. I am a fool. I am a fool." From inside the house, Nene heard him. She didn't move. Her mother looked at her and whispered, "He is broken, my daughter. But are you ready?" Nene didn't respond. She walked slowly towards the door, not with anger, not even with pity, just silence. Ebuka looked up at her and cried harder. I left you. I left her. And God knows I deserve worse. But please, let me see my child. When Ebuka stepped into the small room where Chimamanda lay, he nearly collapsed again. His daughter was pale, sunken, bones pushing against skin. Her eyes were dull, not even confused, just empty. The vibrant little girl who once danced when he came home now barely recognized him. Mandu, is daddy, he whispered, crawling to her mat. No reaction. He touched her hand. Cold. He placed a tiny palm on his face. Nothing. I'm sorry, my child. Forgive me. I should have protected you. He sobbed like a child himself. Then something happened. Chimamanda blinked slowly, and a single tear rolled down her cheek. Still silent, still weak, but a tear. Nene stepped in and broke down. Her mother wailed in the background. You see what hate has done? She shouted at the heavens. They nearly killed this gift. That night, the compound became a prayer ground. Candles were lit, psalms were read. Worship song rose with cracked voices. The community gathered. Old women laid hands. The village prophet returned and anointed her. They tied her to death's gate, he said. But this child carries fire. It was past midnight when Chimamanda was dead. Her mother and father were asleep by her side, arms locked around her like armor. But something shifted in the room. The air grew light. Chimamanda opened her eyes fully for the first time in days. Mommy, she whispered. Nene woke up with a jolt. Mandu! I'm hungry, the girl said. The scream that escaped Nene's lips shook the house. Ebuka leapt up and stared at her, unsure if it was real. He placed his hand on her forehead. The fever? Gone. Chimamanda smiled weakly. Daddy! Ebuka broke. He cried. But this time from a place deeper than guilt. It was relief, love, and a second chance, all crashing down at once. I'm here, my daughter. I will never leave you again. Never. Back in town, Nkiru was enjoying herself. She threw parties in Nene's living room, wore her old wrapper as a kitchen rag, and even invited her friends to mock the barren woman who had finally been chased out. But her joy was about to curdle. Word had started to spread like wildfire on dry grass. Chimamanda is healed. The prophet exposed the real enemy. Ebuka went to beg on his knees. The rumors hit Nkiru's ears like thunderclaps. She laughed them off at first, but deep inside, fear began to gnaw. Then came the knock. 3 elders from the community, 2 women from the church, 1 police officer. We need to speak with you, one elder said. About your treatment of the child, she scoffed, crossed her legs, and rolled her eyes. I don't know what you are talking about. But the elders brought a surprise. A video. Recorded by a neighbor who lived across from their compound. The one Nkiru didn't know had a clear view of the child's room. It showed her pouring something under Chimamanda's pillow, slapping her when she cried, standing over her with threats. You witch, one of the women spat. You tortured an innocent child. Nkiru's mouth hung open. Her charm was failing her. It's not what it looks like. I was trying to help her. I was cleansing her. By starving her? The officer asked. By cursing her at midnight? Nkiru was handcuffed. The law may not always catch the wicked, the elder said, but when the God of justice stands up, not even charm can hide you. As the crowd dragged her out of the compound, some spat, others shouted, some shook their heads in silence. For years, Nkiru had tormented a child sent by destiny. Now justice knocked on her own door. That night, Ebuka couldn't close his eyes. He sat on the floor beside Chimamanda's mat, watching her breathe peacefully. Every small sound she made his heart skip, not out of fear anymore, but out of gratitude. He held Nene's hand. I should have listened. I should have fought for you. I let the wrong people speak into my heart. Nene's eyes glistened. but she said nothing. Ebuka continued. When we met in school, I promised to protect you. You stood by me when I had nothing, and when you needed me most, I abandoned you. She finally spoke softly. Pain changes people, Ebuka. It either hardens their heart or opens their eyes. And mine are open now, he whispered. What do you see? He turned to her and smiled faintly. A woman whose love I never deserved. A child whose life I almost threw away. Outside, the wind blew softly through the mango trees. Inside, the fire of healing had begun. Word of Chimamanda's healing spread far beyond the town, and so did whispers of Ebuka's aunt, the one who confessed to tying Nene's womb and plotting against the child's life. The elders summoned her to a community gathering held under the ancient Juboko tree, where matters of justice were decided. She was carried in on a mat, weak, shaking, but the guilt in her eyes was clearer than daylight. The crowd was silent when Nene, Ebuka and Chimamanda arrived. The prophet stood before them and asked, Why did you hate her so much? What did she take from you? Ebuka's aunt opened her mouth, but no words came, only tears, thick and bitter. I was afraid, she finally whispered. Afraid that she would take him away from us, that he would forget where he came from. She wasn't our kind. And then the child came, bright, too bright. I feared she would shine more than all of us. The elder woman's voice cracked. So I paid the priest to close her womb. But when the girl of steel came, I went deeper. I used charms, I fed lies, and I used Inkiru as my weapon. Gasp filled the air. You destroyed your own blood? Someone shouted. You almost killed an innocent child, another cried. But the prophet raised his hands for silence. He turned to Ebuka. You are the one who suffered, the one who almost lost everything. What do you say? Ebuka stepped forward, his voice firm but filled with emotion. She almost destroyed my life. But if I carry this hatred forward, I will become like her. So today, I choose to forgive. For my peace, for my wife, for my daughter. Nene stepped beside him, holding Chimamanda's hand. We will not carry bitterness into our future. Let this end here. The crowd applauded. Even the elders nodded in respect. Ebuka's aunt fell to her knees, wailing. I don't deserve forgiveness. But that's what makes it powerful, Nene said gently. We give it, even when it is not deserved. Weeks passed. Chimamanda's laughter returned, ringing through the house like music. Her cheeks grew fuller, her steps stronger. She ran through the compound with ribbons in her hair and sunlight in her smile. Ebuka became a new man, humble, prayerful, and deeply protective of his family. Every morning he kissed his wife's hands. Every evening he told his daughter a story. And Nene, she blossomed, stronger than ever, her heart full of grace. She started a small support group for women battling infertility and rejection. She called it Beauty from Ashes. One Sunday, as the family walked to church, hand in hand, a neighbor said, See them, after everything they have been through, they still look like newlyweds. Another smiled and replied, That is what happens when love survives fire. It comes out gold. As the choir sang, and the preacher raised his hands in worship, Chimamanda danced between her parents, giggling. No more curses, no more shadows, just light, and a family whole again. If this story touched your heart, don't leave without hitting that like button, sharing it with someone who needs hope, and most importantly, subscribing for more powerful African stories that inspire, heal, and remind us of who we truly are. Every week we bring you deep emotional tales rooted in real-life African experiences. So join the family. Hit the subscribe button. Turn on notifications and never miss a story that speaks to your soul.